Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Mariam Obaijoko, and welcome to the Laureate Conversations, where we sit down with amazing authors and discuss their books, their journey, and what they've been through to get to where they are at the moment. So, today's episode, I have I've been looking forward to this interview. I've been looking forward to have a discussion with this author because this author is an incredible storyteller whose work doesn't just explore love, but everything that comes with it, identity, family, growth, and all that. So, yeah, please join me to welcome the author of Picture Us, a deeply reflective and moving romance novel who is the proud winner of the Best Romance Book at the African Laureate Award. Please welcome Chizaram Ekeke. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How are you doing
Glad to be here.
today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay. It's so good to meet you, and I'm looking forward to our conversation about your book. So, are you ready? Are you ready for me?
I'm as ready as ever.
Okay. So before we get started, I would like to lighten things up a bit, Let's just play a quick game. It's called This or That. Are you ready for the game?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Love at first sight or slow burn?
Slow burn, please.
Oh, really? You don't like when I saw him, all my eyes glittered, all those things.
Mm-mm. I believe there should be attraction at first sight, but like I don't believe in all that thing. I believe grow slowly. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Head over heart or heart over head? Which one would you go for?
Over heart over head.
Mm-hmm.
Head over.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Closure or moving on without answers?
You say?
Would you like closure or moving on without answer?
Hmm. That's I want to say it depends, but it depends on the scenario and
Mm.
how things ended. But most of the time, I think I'd rather move on without answers, especially if the behavior was like very bad. I'll just
Ah,
move on.
like let's just get to it. On to the next chapter. That's
Okay.
interesting. Okay, finally, reading in the morning or reading at night?
Reading at night.
Oh, really?
It's yeah. Reading at night. It's there's this thing about darkness, and then you're just lost in the book. There's just something about it. So yeah, reading at night. If it's novels, especially, if it's
Especially,
novel.
yeah. What about for writing?
Writing. I can write anytime.
Oh,
Anytime.
that's nice. That's nice. It says a lot about your book and about you. So let's get started. I would love our listeners to know more about you. So, you know, who is Chizaram beyond the pages, and how did your journey start as a writer?
The pages. Okay. So she's I am a professionally, I'm a registered nurse.
Hmm.
And yes, I'm a screenwriter outside being an author. I write poems too. I direct. I'm currently working on a movie project, so you can call me a movie producer and a director. And outside that, I'm a Christian, so everything I do flows from my Christian faith. I'm from Abia State, Nigeria. I'm from Akwete in Okwa
Hmm.
East local government area. Yes, and I schooled in Abia State University. So I just really finished recently. My induction is in a few months.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so
Congratulations.
thank you very much. So what started my journey in writing? Hmm. I can't remember not ever being a writer. When I
Wow.
was like really young, yes, when I was really young, I enjoy reading stories and I would always write. So at that point, it wasn't love stories. It was more folklores. I used to read a lot of folk tales then. The animal, the tortoise and the lion, and all those animal
All those
stories.
animal stories.
So I used to write them. But I've always written based off of where I was at the moment, the things that I, the things that resonate with me, or what actually is going on in my life at the moment, like where I am at a particular point. So I always write from that place. So at this my age now, where I am, my environment now, it's more of love stories, different type of love stories, because I've been a little bit exposed to the different things we call love. So yeah, just try to write stories around it, because some people don't know the beauty, how beautiful or how ridiculous something they have is until they actually read it from another's lens. So
Yes.
that's kind of
Yes.
why I write the kind of stories I do. Every of my stories, they are intentional, and it might just flow from a random thought or a problem I perceive, and then I just
Mm,
want to the pictures with stories so that people see that,
mm.
oh, whether they say like, oh, I've been underrating or overlooking the beauty of this thing, or they'll find out that, oh, I've actually been doing the very wrong thing and glorifying it because it made sense to me because of my emotions and all of that.
Yeah, yes, yes. I love that, really, really. And you've written an amazing book. So we're still going to talk about that. But I mean, speaking of intentional, the way Picture Us is written, it feels very intentional, like very intentional. There's a reason behind it. And it's very emotionally aware as well. It's
Yeah.
not a voice of a beginner. So I mean, I know you've said your journey as a screenwriter, a director. And by the way, it's funny because I have a little background in filmmaking as well. So, the very first page I read of your book, I pictured it as a movie. Interestingly, immediately
Oh,
the opening page was very descriptive. I was like, oh, I mean, I just pictured it as a movie immediately. I don't know why. And when you said that, I was like, that's interesting because I
well,
thought of that.
yeah. Everybody who has read my book has somehow asked when is it going to come out as a movie?
Really, really, I would really love that. I would love a rom-com, sitting down,
Well,
Netflix and chill. I would really love that.
hopefully, sometime in future, we'll
Okay.
work it out. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I want to ask, I know you said you've been writing ever since, but when was that moment that you realized this was something you wanted to take seriously, especially when it comes to writing book? When did you realize, okay, this thing is a big deal. I think I would like to take this further.
Okay, I would say it. I've always loved writing. I saw it as a way of expressing myself, because sometimes I like to have conversations, but there are some things that I would rather, even though I like to talk, there are some things I would rather not talk about. So I like to express. So I use writing to express the things on my mind. It gives me this cryptic feeling that you're expressing it, you're letting it all out, but people don't exactly get it as it
Get
is.
it?
They kind of
Yes.
they don't get the full picture. So it helps me express. And I used to write stories, even on my, if you check my Instagram account, my Twitter account, there are a list of short stories there. So I write short stories, I'll post on my X account, I'll post it on my WhatsApp status, and I would just say a I have a very good community. I've always been a person to keep sensible and intentional people around me. So I would post, and then they're like, "This is so good. You should consider writing a book." And I'm like, "Yeah, sometime in the future. Yeah, sometime in the future." Funny thing, I didn't know I was going to be writing picture us anytime soon.
Wow.
So it just got to. the voices became too loud. Like, when are you going to write a book? I'm like, what? You guys think I should be writing a book now? I've not made it now. So eventually one day I just, like I said, I'm a Christian. I prayed about it, and I had a eureka moment where the Lord told me that what you're asking of me for direction, people around you are already telling you what to do. And that was it. I just, as I just got that, I stood up, picked up my notepad, and took a walk. I remember I was on clinicals, we were in the hospital then, so I was staying in one of the hostels in FMC. So I picked up my book, took a walk, went outside, sat on of the grasses, and I started writing the name of the book. I wrote down the name of the book, wrote what was going to happen in the first chapter. I wrote what was going to happen there, and it was okay. Should I talk about the first chapter, what inspired it, or I should just
I
stop and
mean,
go?
please just continue. I'm enjoying it. Just
So the
continue with
first
the wonderful attitude.
first chapter was inspired by my friends, my best friend and her sister. They lost their
Mm-hmm.
dad years ago, like 6 years ago. So when they lost their dad, their uncles and aunties came around, and that was the hardest moment of their life. They were very mean to them, very mean to their
Wow.
mother, and so it was my way of revenging on their behalf.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's interesting. I'll still talk
I
about that, but please
I
continue.
brought it I brought it to them. I asked them, so do you want these people's father to be alive, or you want the father to die and they will deal with the uncles? And that rage, like, you know what? If we
Mhm.
cannot do this in
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 real
in
life.
in real life, let somebody do it. Let's read a satisfying story of where people were punished like this. So I wrote it so that it will resonate with them, and they really love that book because of
Hmm.
just that particular chapter.
Yeah, we're still going to get to that part because I really, really love that scene as well. I love the way you wrote it. It wasn't a typical Nigerian
Yeah.
story because the usual story we get is so funny as well. I'm still going to. I still have a lot to talk about your book, but let's get to you personally first. I mean, how do you juggle between nursing and writing? That's like two taxing work. So how do you balance the equation, really?
Okay. So I wrote Picture Us in a month.
Wow, in a
I
month.
Yeah, in a month. From January, I think I started writing it seriously on after I'd gotten I'd written the picture out, the chapter outline. It's something I do before so I write out chapter how many chapters my book will have, and everything that is going to happen in each chapter. So I'd written all of that, and then on January 1st I started writing the entire story, and I think I finished it on January 30th, 2025. 2025, yeah? Yes, 2025. I finished writing it on January 30th, 2025, because I didn't want it to roll over to February. And so what happened that period was that we had we had a program, reproductive health program. We were doing that program, and I just had to sacrifice one at that moment. So I didn't attend all the classes so that I'll have time to write this thing. And I I kind of, whenever I'm writing, I'm on a writing streak. So what I do is that I would I would schedule my time and check which one is, and I choose it mostly when, because I wrote it when I was still a student, like actively a student. So I would know the period when our academic work is not as serious.
Okay.
So that's the period I choose to write. And because of nothing, I've not written as much as I would love to, because it's tasking. But I mean, I just try. I just try when we're not really um serious academically. I would channel the energy into writing. And yeah, so the whole publishing part is easier. You can easily juggle it, but like the writing part is where
The
it takes all the
writing
time.
part is just a lot. Ah, that's interesting. That's well done, well done. I love the fact that you were able to like time your work and your writing, know when okay, this thing is supposed to be done, and when it's not supposed to be. And the sacrifice, that's the things we do for what we love. I like that. Well done. So, you would you say you're someone who writes from personal experiences? Because you mentioned, the first page was inspired by your friend's father's death and all that. Or aside that, apart from personal experience, would you say you're someone who also writes from observation, or is it just pure imagination? Or let's just say it's a mix of everything. So how does it work for you?
Hmm. I think first of all, I most of the things I write is okay. There's a work I'm currently work. There's something a book I'm currently working on. That one is based on experience of someone close to me. So it's just a little story based on their experience. But something like Picture Us was it was, I think, outside the first page. It was more like me trying to create a world. You get, when I see things that are not exactly how I want it to be, or maybe I look at the kind of life I want to have in future, I put it into a
Mm,
story. Yeah, so it creates a possibility that even if I'm not living it right now, it's possible. So it kind of it's my way of dreaming. It's my way of dreaming. So it's mostly purely imagination. Mostly purely imagination. But I don't exactly write from my own personal stories. Most of the time, my writing is based off of the lives of people around me. I just because sometimes, even though writing is, people say that they see a piece of me in all of my writings, I just feel like if people are going to read it, it has to resonate with them.
but then
Yeah. So I have the reader in mind when I am writing. It's we can just say it's a mixture of everything.
of
So,
everything. Yes.
yeah.
I love that you mentioned reader. And I'll still like go back to that. But let's talk about the theme of the story, the heart of the story. Because this book is not just about romance. I mean, it's a romance book, right? But I mean, there's some part that I could just relate to, and about timing, emotional readiness, and work-life balance, taking what you do seriously, and even faith in relationships. So what was the original idea or moment that inspired Pictures? Because even from the title, it feels very intentional. Pictures, and we get to realize that the main character is a photographer. Like, oh, what's a very everything feels very intentional. So I would like to know the original idea or the moment that inspired it.
Because I actually had two options for the title of the book. One was Love Through the Lens. I was trying
Oh,
to, yeah, Love Through the Lens or Picture Us. And so when I brought it to my friends, they were like, I think we like Picture Us better. It's a bit catchy.
very
And then it,
catchy.
it tells the story, Picture Us. Like, mm. So yeah, it just, and then when they chose it, I was like, what, let's work with that. I think for Picture Us, the what brought me to that point is that I love to read romance novels. I love to read love stories, but because of my Christian faith, I've had to stop reading a lot of love stories because of how erotic
They
they can
can
be.
be.
Yes, and so I needed to actually show that it's possible to have a beautiful love life. It's a lot of people don't notice that you can read the whole story and not notice that there was no kiss until the epilogue.
Yes, yes.
So, but still, you feel the very intense love
Mm-hmm, the
through the,
yearnings,
and so
the stairs also says.
exactly. The plan was to create a chemistry that creates a story that shows that there can be mad chemistry in interesting love story, not boring, not just very intentional, beautiful, balanced, without having to incite lost in any way. And
Hmm.
also, I if I needed to also, I pushed a lot of narratives in that very short book. The first one being that those people, they were trust fund kids. So
Yeah.
Vera, Jenny, they were all trust
They are
fund,
just born babies.
but they were very responsible. Arinze was running his late father's company perfectly
Company.
well. Yeah,
Yes.
Jenny was serious with her fashion
Fashion
business.
business.
Vera was very intentional about her photography work. And so I just needed to put out a narrative that not everybody who comes from privilege has to be stupid. You get exactly. And then they had good good family, because in fact there's a narrative now, because a lot of people are glorifying grass to grace stories. Some people are just ashamed of the fact that they come from
They come from
privilege.
really, really,
And
really.
I just feel like it's your legacy. Own it. You are lucky. You get, so just own it. I don't like see people actually own a privilege that they come from, or that they got by virtue of being from a particular family. So the book was actually to push a narrative that you can maximize and take full advantage of the privilege you were born with. That was one.
Yes.
And number two was that you can have a good relationship with people. You can have a good relationship with your workers, like Uche and
Mm-hmm.
Ve- they became very close.
Uche and Vera's relationship, I love it.
They were almost like family. And also, there are a lot of people that they don't like to do good work except it's in their own thing. When Uche worked with Vera, he gave top-notch service. It was so
Yes.
good that Vera furnished his studio and
It's
all of that when
studio.
to start out. So I just there are a lot of things that are going wrong in our society that when you read it, it's more like a perfect. Somebody told me
Mm-hmm.
the book, oh, there's no quarrel inside. I was like, I'm
Mm.
trying to get a good word that people can actually behave well and have like a perfect
Yeah.
bond that they live in. Yes, and I think that was and Ken and Ken easily got along with Vera's family, because when she came to her family too, she saw that these people had a cool, very nice family relationship. So
Yes.
even though we don't like to talk about it a lot, the family you come from and how your home front is
Very,
actually
very important.
affect the energy you take into your relationships, any relationship you get
It
into.
is, it is, it is. Because imagine getting to know someone, you're in love with that person, and you get to know their family, and it's like so chaotic.
Oh,
It has to
honest.
take a level of love and trust you have for that person to be able to say, do I really want to continue this with this person? So, but going to a family where everything is just warm, soft, the whole love is there. You just know that, oh, okay, I'm right where I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be. So
true.
I get that. Mm. I mean, you know what is beautiful about the story is the fact that, people are very used to, when it comes to Nigerian novel, are very used to drama, everything has to be, even romance, you have to cry. I mean, when I was reading this story towards the end, and I was like, thank God, we don't chop paper, chop paper. Like, I was so thankful, like, oh, finally, we get to read something where we don't have to cry and we could all
Yeah,
relate to. So it's like people don't get to see how beautiful that is. And also don't get to see the conflict. There is actually a conflict there. There's more like an internal conflict in the story
yeah,
where the characters are battling with themselves, their beliefs, and even to when it comes to dating someone, how the
yeah,
characters, especially Vera, before Vera could say, okay, is this guy for me? Even the
yeah,
Oluchi and Uche dynamic, there's
yeah,
actually conflict going on. Even for the
yeah,
mom, a character was very silent, but we could tell through the lens of our children that, oh, we know what you're
yeah,
going through and we are there for you. So they're like, that those kind of conflicts are really there. The scan trying to like, okay, I was rude to this girl at first, so how am I going to walk up to her again and prove to myself that okay, this is not the usual me? So there's actually a lot of conflict. People just like it has to be the something
yeah.
somebody
The
slapped
very
somebody who went through the whole worst to get to the love of their life, but it's not really like that. So my question to you is, do you think love is more about finding the right person or becoming the right person?
I think is a mix of both, but it's easier to find the right person when you are the right person.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can
But
you
I
can you
I
explain
think
further on that? I like that. I like that.
even good people, quote and unquote, like the right people can end up with very horrible people.
People.
Yeah,
Hmm.
if they're not intentional, there should be certain there should be certain yardsticks that everybody should use to decide who they would love. I know that my story is a very emotional one, but I also my personal views on love is not exactly how you feel about somebody. It's who you choose and what you decide to do with the
Hmm.
person. For instance, I really believe that um if I'm going to love somebody, for me to say I love somebody means that I've seen that we can work in these areas. I've seen that, okay, these values that I uphold, you uphold them too. And then
Yes.
I love you is deciding that, you know what, I'm going to stick with you. The beautiful, the ugly, the in between, the silent, the noisy. I'm just going to stick with you because I'm going to enjoy life with you. When it comes to crying, I'm going to cry with you. When it comes to, everything, I'm just going to do everything with you. So some people just think about, I they just think about liking somebody and going ahead with it. I feel like it's way deeper than
Than
that.
that. Yeah.
It's way deeper than
Yes.
that. And a vital part of it is actually looking at the things you want. And when you look at the things you want, you define them and make sure that those things you've defined, you possess them. Because someone
Yes.
who has those things will look out for those things too. So if you look at the things you want and you're not anything close to that thing, I think you should hold
Then
on
you
and find
then
yourself
you need to
until
work
yeah,
on yourself as well. True, true.
find yourself until you become that.
That makes a lot of sense because it brings me back to your character. One thing that stood out to me was how your characters don't just fall in love, they grow into it. It was a
Yeah,
very intentional, dates, other things. It was a plan, not so planned. Don't let me use the word plan, but they just go into it and it was intentional.
yeah.
So why was it
Mm.
important for you to show love in that way instead of the typical perfect romance narrative we get to see out there?
Okay. So I feel like love is really about the little things, the very not to
Hmm.
if you know Ken liked to cook
Yes.
Vera with food. He
Hmm.
liked to cook. And Vera, at the point where Ken was coming to her place, she cooked his favorite food. So it's just this
Yeah.
little thing that say, you know what, I see it get
I don't want to go into details, but I remember the kitchen cooking at a restaurant and I don't want to
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, this is what you do here, right? Right.
Exactly. You see, Vera was a picky. She had a very sensitive stomach, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to go
Yeah.
on. Get so how do we work this out? You know what? I'll make the sacrifice. I'll leave work early. I'll come. I'll cook. I'll pick you up. I'll bring you here. You eat my own cooked meal. Those
Like
kind of
that.
it,
It's not even
it,
allowed, but it was like, okay, I
it,
see you.
the
I
love
see
that
you.
listens. That is
Mm.
for instance when Ken went to pick up Vera from the restaurant from the airport when she went on that shoot
Yes.
that anything. He knew that okay, she has a very sensitive stomach and I have to cook for her so
Yes.
that when she comes back she'll find something to eat. All of those thoughts. And also it's things like stepping up. For instance, Uche. The dynamics in love,
Yes.
right? Because let us talk about Uche for a moment. Uche knew that this girl is a trust fund kid. I like you.
Yes.
This version of me cannot be with you. I have to find my own space
I
and
have
start
to.
and be an independent person before
Mm.
I decide to get into a relationship with you. Because
Yes.
believe it or not, you might not be on the same level, but at least show some level of intentionality where you step up and you're like, you know what I feel for you, or what I want to build with you is serious enough for me that I want to be able to stand in for you in some in some capacity. Like
Mhm.
I hear some people that talk about their love stories and they're like, my husband got promoted or my husband got started doing this kind of job and I had to stay online and learn everything about his job so that we would be able
Yes, to have a discussion about it.
do you understand? We're able to connect. Sorry, my network went off. So we'll be
Yeah,
able to connect to the level, and that's something I think is very important. That's
yes,
something I
it
think
is.
is
It is. It is. And it's just about everything, even to marriage. It's very intentional. It's not just I like you, you like me, we love each other. It's something that you have to be very, very conscious of considering someone. So I love the fact that you put that out there, even for Uche and Oluchi, because it's
yeah.
it's it's a very beautiful story. So I would like to. So the thing is, we might have a little. Because I think this time it's 5 minutes, right? And this is the time right now is 11:37. So in my hand, the be, but I'm still going to, I'll just send you a mail with the same link. So I'll just readjust the time. So let's continue, just in case it ends anytime while we're talking.
Okay, no problem.
All
No
right,
problem.
so let's talk about faith because it's a very important story. And even with your background, you mentioned that a lot. So, and I realized that faith plays a role in the story, very
Yeah.
subtle, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's not in an overwhelming way, but in a
Yeah.
very real and grounding way. So, how important was it to you to include that dimension in a romance story?
Hmm. So I think before you say you love someone, the very core things like your who you worship is is I feel like it's the most important thing. In fact, to me, it's the most important thing because you cannot worship two gods and you're deciding to become one.
Mm,
So, as the Bible says, we should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. They had the same values. For instance, you will notice that even as Vera was intentional about her, it was obvious that the both of them were on the same page because they did not need to have conversations like, you know what, let's have sex and no, let's not, it was
yes,
come
yes.
up because instinctively it was just a thing of they will have a hug here, they will hold hands here, he will kiss her
And
nose,
it was
kiss her
okay
forehead.
with that. Yes.
Yeah, it was just there. You get. So I feel like fundamentally for your values, a lot of people's values come from their faith.
Mm,
So for your values to really align, you cannot ignore something as fundamental as someone's faith. For instance, people's the religion people belong to determines even how their family goes. There are people that their parents are not Christians, and then because their parents are not Christians, their parents don't have a um strong okay, personally I've seen people that their parents are not exactly Christians and they fight a lot. There's always a lot of chaos, so it's just from one thing to another, and I just feel like it sets a tone for the family. If you're going to build a family, you better decide which page you're going to start on. And a lot of Christians, they like I said, this the target audience for this book is actually Christians. A lot of Christians, they look at these things and they just think it's not that important. You get. But if you have a consecration and you're like, I watched a video yesterday that said that love is about that there's no love if they don't respect your boundaries. So this person
yes.
can only understand and respect your boundaries if they have similar values themselves. So I feel like that's the first basis on choosing. So that's why I
Mm,
had to in somewhere that what, he goes to church and he has the values that allows him give away the stuff he had in his other house. It was actually quite interesting
yes. I was like, oh, that's very thoughtful. That's very nice. Yeah.
with her pastor's family. You get. So it kind of gives the idea that he's as invested in the faith as she is in the faith, and it even goes deeper to some people might claim to be Christians, some people might be Christians, but I don't believe that Christians on different levels of consecration should actually come together. I think you should find a common ground. If this
Mhm.
person's own Christianity is, what I'm going to retaliate when your own values on Christianity is I'm going to turn the left cheek when someone does me wrong. I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
guys should be because you're going to have a lot of clashes. So I just feel like for Christians, the first thing they should look out for is the faith. Is the
Mm.
faith. Yeah.
Speaking of it, because interestingly, you said your target audience is like Christian, right? I'm not a Christian, but I found a lot of the book very, very relatable. So
Uh,
especially themes
thank
of
God.
family boundaries, emotional
Yeah.
boundaries, and when you talk about understanding having the same belief system with someone, it's a very crucial thing. And it's not even
Yeah.
just about religion. It's just sometimes it can be about something as simple as work ethics, something
Yeah.
as simple as, family life pattern and all that. So were you
Yeah.
consciously writing for a broad audience across different belief systems, or is it something that just happened naturally? Because I feel like it's more of something that happened naturally. I don't think you even realize you were, speaking to a certain level of audience at some point. Or is that not the case?
Well, in as much as I would paraphrase and say that my target audience are majorly Christians, majorly.
Okay.
Because love stories for everyone. Everyone should have love. Everyone deserves to fall in love. And I would say yes, even beyond Christians, beyond uh, Nigerians, beyond. It was just a love story that was supposed to resonate with anybody at all that
Yeah.
comes in contact with it. And that's why, as much as it's a Christian love story, it was, it wasn't, it was there enough to be well established, but not to be overbearing for someone who is not of the Christian faith. So yeah, I would say that um, it, it was very like if you notice, I put in a lot of songs inside there.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of songs. Those songs are actually the songs that I have listened to the most in my life, the songs that have blessed me, and the songs that. So that was it was actually in the part of the music that I emphasize that this girl is a Christian girly. She
Yeah.
has Christian values,
Yeah.
but still in a way that will not be overbearing for someone who is not a Christian. You
Yes.
get not someone who yes.
Yeah,
So I would say
there's
I had everybody in mind.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a scene, speaking of music, there's a scene where she was in the bathroom and, she was listening to someone. I like that, It's not the
Oh
usual. And it speaks a lot about
yeah,
the character as well, you know.
yeah.
That's interesting. Hold on, hold on. So, I mean, I would love to ask you
In,
one
in that
thing.
part I do.
What? In that part,
Okay.
you were saying
I thought
something.
other than in that part I do it a lot. Yeah, in that part I do it a lot. I
Oh,
feel like every no time should actually be wasted. So I'm in the bathroom, I'm listening to a sermon, I'm doing the dishes, I'm listening to either a podcast or a sermon. So it was kind of it's something that is beautiful. I actually find it very it's one way you can be very productive while
mm,
constantly learning. So I I felt the need to put it in there because
yes.
for Christians, I really believe they should listen to sermons actively and passively. And for non-Christians, I believe that you can listen to enriching content like podcasts and stuff that actually grounds you
Yes,
in
yes,
your yeah in your
in
values.
your values. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, true. I also noticed something. Your story doesn't shy away from discomfort. I mean,
Mm.
misunderstanding, emotional distance, tough choices. family
Yeah,
boundaries where the uncles were trying to, do the most. And it was just like the father, I love the father was able to set that boundary before he died. So how important
yeah.
was it for you? Do you think people today are truly ready for that kind of love that requires this level of discomfort to get through and to, that requires patience and growth in essence?
I think people attach more in attach more importance to family, some family members than they should actually.
Yes.
So a family member that when your father dies, what they are thinking about is how to inherit his properties when he left a wife
Mm-hmm.
and 4 children. Right? 4 children, yes, a wife and 4 children. Family members that want that man's property, you should cut them off. In fact,
Yeah.
embarrass them. Humiliate them. You get.
Honestly.
So I just there are people that they go through all of these things and insane things like even drinking the all this African stuff of drinking the
Yes.
water that was used to wash the cups just because I they're giving more what's it called power to to family members, and that I believe that there's a level you bring yourself to and you will not have to do all those things. Like these people now that have money, it was easy to just have a will. The
Yes.
man wrote a will because
The way I
no
really
matter
just
what, you will
said,
not say
we will
you
just come
don't know
back
your
on
people.
Monday.
Exactly. You know your siblings, and he knew that okay,
Yes.
this kind of thing was going to come out. So if they did not include them in the will now it will be issue. He included them in the will and gave them the very thing he has had them manage in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so I just believe that you have a will, the will is read. They cannot come and fight you now. Will they come to the company and drag the company? Like
Exactly.
there's a particular ecosystem where all those greedy stupidity cannot thrive. It's when
Yes.
actually people are poor, live mediocre lives that
Mm-hmm.
certain things can just happen and the people get away with it. So yeah,
Yes, I do.
I believe that
Yes, yes,
oh,
yes.
every love should have boundaries.
They should, they should. So, looking back at the story, which parts of the book felt like the most personal or difficult for you to write?
Was personal, difficult to write. Hmm. I don't know if any part of the book was difficult for me to write, but uh, I would I would say I actually tried my best to make this book easy for me to write because I don't like cliche things, and there's nothing cliche about the book. If anything, it's very realistic.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, I think just give me a moment. Let me process that. It was difficult part of that book. The most difficult, okay, yeah, I get it now. I think it was on the part of her meeting her in-laws.
Mm,
So yeah, I needed to portray a welcoming yet not over familiar. I don't
yes.
like when people are doing over familiarity. So
Yeah.
let's it be that these people are nice people, but still not over familiar. So I struggle to stay in between
In
nice
between
and
the
doing too much. You get even when she met at her when she was meeting her in-laws, every one of her in-laws. So I think that was the part that actually like took
yes,
a great
yes, yes.
and planning a five. I've never attended a 5-year-old's party. I've never planned it.
Speaking of that.
So it actually took me, I think I had to go and browse it
Oh.
and find out things that are involved in the 5 years. So it's the party scene, the party scenes and the meeting of the in-laws. It was that part, those parts. Yeah.
That party scene was actually important because
Yeah.
I think that party scene also revealed a lot about each character, especially the
Yeah.
Oluchi and and what's his
Yeah.
name? Uche.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and that was even what started the relationship between Kennedy and V. So it was
Yeah.
a very
Yeah.
important scene,
Yeah. Yes.
interestingly.
Yes.
So well
Yes.
done, and you did so well. It wasn't a loud party, and it also, I think that also speaks a lot about the family and the love they have for each other. It was
Yeah.
just, it is grounded. It is there. It is real. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
loud. They do things for. Jenny was just like, you know what, organize a party for my baby, and he's like, I cannot do this, and I don't even have to. That's what you do best. Get with it, and she did. So, it
True.
speaks a lot
True.
about the character, the whole story.
Yeah.
That party scene was very important. And even about Kennedy when he brought his niece, you know, I don't
Yeah.
let us give too much details. So people go and read the book.
Please go and read. Oh,
Yeah,
go and
go and
read.
read the book. I'm not going to give you too much details. But
Yeah.
speaking of the characters, let's talk about V. V is a very interesting character. She has this quiet aura, this quiet strength about her. It's not loud, it's
Yeah.
not dramatic, but you can feel everything she's processing internally and how she's there for her people. So, what inspired V's character, and how did you get to start a story? And most importantly, what do you want the readers to understand about a journey?
Okay. So, this character was actually inspired by my own life story,
Oh,
funnily,
how?
because I'm a nurse, yeah, but I love writing, I love art, I love uh just anything expressive, you get. And so for me, nursing feels like the sensible normal.
Yes.
You understand? Nothing feels like the sensible normal. And if you notice in one of his story, she in one of his comments, she told Irene that apart from staying in depressing meetings all day, that
Yes.
what else does he
What
do?
does he do?
So when I think about having a 9 to 5 where I'm stuck in a place, it actually scares me. Nothing like if someone asks me how I'll know I failed in life is when I sit in an office all day and all I'm doing is office work. I'm literally going to lose my mind. And so I needed to paint a picture where she's a photographer, which is not a very usual job for women, but she
Yes.
thrives. You get. And if you I always took my time to always explain her dressing, that as much as she was intentional, she was hardworking, she dressed in a very free manner. Because all of those things were it just gives anybody that knows me personally will know that this gives a window into the way I think. I don't think that fashion and stress are synonymous. They don't
Yeah.
have to go hand in hand. You can dress fashionably and still be very comfortable. So and then I think in this whole thing is V is a very happy, friendly, beautiful soul, but somehow she didn't have friends. She didn't have a lot of friends.
Yes. Yes.
A
Our
lot of people
sister
didn't know how
mentioned.
amazing she was. And sometimes people can really be very good and all of that, but just not have, but a lot of people would just not know because they're in their own world with their own family. She was family oriented. And I feel like a lot of driven and successful people sometimes have that trait. You get, it's not like they're introverts, but then they just don't have a lot of friends. And then
Yes.
I just wanted to paint a picture that there's somewhere in the world for a lady that is not conventional in every way to thrive, make money, find love, train people, inspire people, and just be like somehow the life of the party.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I love that. I love that. I love that. And then we have Kennedy. Kennedy is a very grounded character. His presence is
yeah,
intentional, but not in an overwhelming way. And I
Yeah,
like the fact that, oh God, that Kennedy, what a man. He proposed to be like, will you be my girlfriend? Do you know how many guys don't even do like, it's just so thoughtful. He just knows, we're talking about how he realized that, oh, she had like a sensitive stomach thing going on, and
yeah,
he planned something. What was important for you when writing Kennedy's story as a love interest? Because it doesn't come across as performative or overly perfect, because even from the very
yeah,
beginning he messed up, and
yeah,
we don't see him as this perfect guy, but we just see him as, oh, he would do something that you just be like, ugh, what a man. How
yeah.
important was that for you when you're writing his character?
Okay. It was I have I believe be very men should be intentional in their loving and
Mm-hmm.
sacrificial in their loving. So there's just a lot of I I hold men in relationships to a very high standard. I'm not saying I don't hold
Yes,
women to a very high, but a lot of men are messing up. You
a
get some people
lot
they just don't step up. That they
at
do the
all.
barest minimum and they just believe you should take it. So this is somebody who actually, and he's so intentional that you know what he's working, but he's reaching out. He's he has like the busiest schedule, but he makes time for her. You get
Yes. I
he
mean, he's starting a whole business, so you don't have any
exactly,
excuse out there.
and I made sure to put it that he was not a boring person. You
Mm.
get so he they had a lot of fun mostly because of Ken. He teased
Yeah.
her quite a number of times. In fact, he teased her a lot.
They
He
play,
picked her
they do
into
the
the dance
dance
contest,
competition, dance contest.
and then they had a moment where he just drew her up and they danced to slow music. So there was just this intentional, quiet, romantic. Because another thing is that there are a lot of Christian men that are just boring. Like it's annoying. You can't, guy.
Really, your religion should not make
No,
you be boring. You should be
yes, exactly.
interesting.
So I just
True.
needed to show that this guy had a lot of validity.
Mm-hmm.
It was just easy. Because it was easy. A lot of guys, there are some guys you meet and they are too intense. Like,
Yes.
come on. So I was just like, it's possible to be valuable, to be a very, and I made sure to put that even though he didn't come from a lot,
Yes.
he was intentional. He was actively building something for himself. You get all of those
Yes.
things. So I just believe that there are certain values that even if it doesn't come naturally to you, you should learn for a better life. And also the fact where Ken was very good with children. That's also like something. Some guys
Yes.
just suck at their relationship with children, and you hope to be a father one day, but you don't want to learn. You
I
don't want to
just
like
want the
just
woman, they just want the woman to be the mother.
exactly
You
stuff,
should be the one training the children. And it's not like that. It's why it's
stuff like
parenthood. It
that.
has to be a two-person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I love how you make the relationship just well grounded, and it doesn't rely on unnecessary misunderstanding or exaggerated drama. One ex wanting, wanting, wanting. You know how it is, It
Yes.
just feels calm and emotionally engaging.
Yeah.
Do you think calm love stories are sometimes underestimated in storytelling, especially in this part of the world?
Yes. I think we haven't gotten to a point where people think that if there's no drama, then the love is not sweet.
As in,
And
eh,
to be honest, there's some of these love stories that I've read that there's so much chaos and there's this and this one happens and they come back to this place. When I see those love
unnecessary
stories,
chaos, unnecessary
I'm
chaos.
just like I can't
Why?
be here. If this kind of drama happens in a relationship, I'm out. So let's be very realistic. Not everybody can stick around this kind of long drama. If we're having this amount of issues up and down and that I've not even married, I'm not doing no. Do you get? So I
It's
had
just
to
so
like put it out.
unrealistic.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had to put it out that it's possible to actually have because I've actually seen people that have beautiful relationships where they know how to communicate with each other. They know how to be considerate of each other. They communicate, like communication is not a problem, and they are not lazy. They have personally, individually, they have well-rounded lives, and then together, they're just their best self, having a lot of love for themselves and a lot of love to give for their partners. So I was just trying to like put it out there that love doesn't have to be all that stress. It doesn't have to be
It
all this
doesn't have to be
exaggerated
that deep,
drama.
really. It's
Yeah.
just two people
So,
understanding each other. I
so,
love that.
so,
Yeah. So, speaking of love, right? Let's talk about the family love, the siblings love. It's
mhm,
just very real. And I love
yeah,
how even the siblings influence the way they love both characters, the way they love,
yeah,
who they trust, and even how they communicate. These
yeah,
siblings are like, they don't feel like background characters. They just add depth and context to their
yeah,
decision making, especially for
yeah.
Vera. So would you say Vera's relationship with her siblings affected the way she approached the relationship with Kennedy?
Mm. I would say, co- based on what I said earlier, I would say that if you have a number of people that you've loved constantly, people that have loved you, and you have a certain this kind of relationship, it is easier to love someone
Yes.
else, especially someone that is one day going to be like your first, like your nuclear family, the family that you build. Because if you notice, Ken and V were always playful with each other. They were always
Yes.
playing. They were always finding a way
Yes.
to like just have the kind of banter that she always had with her siblings. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that she learned overnight. And when V and Ada, Ken's sister, met, they also easily connected because they kind of fell into the same banter that she always had with her
Yes.
siblings. So I just feel
Yes.
like it
Yes.
greatly affected the smoothness of their relationship and how everything just went. And because she was used to receiving jabs from her siblings,
Yes.
she easily took Ken's jabs in his stride and just returned it
Mm-hmm.
to one of her
Mm-hmm.
own and just something.
There
And
was a
some people that
time where there was a time where where the first time Vera met Kennedy's sister and he said something and they both were like, okay, rest, something like that.
yeah,
So it was very beautiful. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, true. So it was more like, okay, if this particular thing happens in V's family, somebody was going to say the Oga rest, or like when
Yes,
Irene said, say,
yes.
I go J crush, no like him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Simple things like that. So it was,
Yes,
I think in the story that Oga rest part was where even though they were cool with each other, Ada and Vera, when they met, even though they were cool with each other, the moment they said that Ogares was more like this moment of, when you meet a
yes.
stranger and then you guys just connect on something very random, and then there's just so I just feel like that was the point where they just had this familiarity moment, and then just became like good friends
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
related well. So yeah, I feel like
Mm,
it's influenced greatly her relationship with Ken and the
mm,
smoothness. Yeah.
I hope that, I hope that. Well done, well done, well done.
Thank you.
So before we are already drawing close to the end of the conversation, but I would like us to play our second game. So we have another one. Very simple. It's called Would You Rather. So are you
Okay.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Would you rather experience a short, intense love or a long, steady one?
Long steady, please. What are we saying? Why is it so
I thought you want intense love. Like everybody wants that, the drama love story. This is
no, no? Why is it short? We are thinking long, forever, long, steady,
I love that. Would you rather be deeply understood or deeply loved?
deeply understood, deeply
Hmm.
loved. So it's not the same thing like this.
I mean, sometimes
Okay.
people get this idea of love as something that, it's just when I love you, everything should fall in place. But sometimes you
Ah,
don't really understand your partner.
yeah. Okay. I think I want to be deeply understood. If when someone understands you, they love you better.
Yes. See, it makes so much sense. So,
Yeah.
would you rather pick someone with a that comes from a broken relationship or starts completely new with someone who is just well grounded?
It's already obvious now. I will just stand you with someone who is grounded.
Because
Ah, yeah.
it's a lot to fix people like that, honestly, unless the
True,
person
true.
is willing to change. Because
Yeah.
we've seen
I feel like
situation, yes, continue.
I feel like even if you're willing to change, you should do that, heal completely before you get into a relationship with another person.
Yes,
Because
that's
if
what
you
I'm
don't,
saying.
you're going to bleed on that person,
You
and you're
are,
going to
you
exhaust
are. And you
yourself.
will even do it unconsciously. You would not even
Yeah,
realize you're
exactly,
doing it until it's like,
exactly.
oh, yeah, that's interesting. So let's talk about the award. Hmm. Well, how did
Uh,
you feel about winning the best romance book at the African Laureate Award? What does it mean to you?
Honestly, I felt seen.
Hmm.
It meant a lot to me because uh picture us is actually very important to me. I'm supposed to wear my t-shirt. I don't know why I
Oh,
didn't
you
wear
have
it,
a
but
t-shirt. Oh, I
yeah, I
would
have a
have loved you
customized
to.
t-shirt. Yeah,
Oh.
but picture us is very, like I said, it's my debut. It was like the one thing I it was like the one unconventional thing that I did being in nursing school. My father has dreams for my nursing career.
Mm.
So everyone is, when everybody is proud of you, like, you're doing this
Yes.
very cause that
Yes.
it's not exactly something I'm very passionate about. Something I love, yeah, but not as passionate. I'm not as passionate
About.
about it as I am about writing. And
Mm.
so I did the whole writing thing without telling my father. I had contacted my publisher, and then I let him know
Wow.
that, yeah, I told him I've gotten my ISBN, I've gotten this. So the book is almost already published. So I just want you to know that I wrote a book. And he was impressed. He was like, oh, this is interesting. And so it's a part of me that it just came upon them suddenly. And I was just glad that this kind of validates it in a way. And I know I'm a good writer. I know I'm going to go far as a writer. But this is more, the award is more for the people around me, for the
No.
people that believe in me, to give them more faith when I come out
Yes.
next time. I'm releasing another book. So they're going to be like, okay, you know what? If that one, your first book in less than 3 months got an award, okay, in just 3 months, yeah, got an award, then I think uh,
Mm.
uh,
Well
you
done.
have a thing going on there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I must say it's a well-deserved award. Well
Thank,
done.
thank
Well
you
done.
very much. I'm
But
very
you're welcome. As the way people respond to your work changed since you see yourself as a writer and after winning this award as well.
as the way people respond.
Punch your
No,
work.
yeah, I think in a way, yes. A lot of people that have just been stalling on reading the book and are like, you know what, I must get this book.
Yeah, they should. You
Yeah,
should.
you get so yeah, so yeah. It has to a large extent. To a large extent, everyone is just. I don't know. I'm just really happy about it. I think it has. I think
Mm,
it has.
mm. Well done. Thank you very, 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 very much. I've been
Thank
enjoying
you.
our discussion, but we have to come to an end. But I would like to ask
Thank
one question, the final question. If someone reads Picture Us and walk away with just one lesson, it's either about love or life, what would you
you. Yeah.
hope that lesson is?
If someone reads pictures and walks away with one lesson, I
Yes.
would hope that lesson is that hmm, I would hope the person understands that the quality of your life sometimes is tied to the quality of the relationships that you have
Hmm. Quality
and
of your life is tied to this quality.
quality of the relationships that you have, and it's something that people don't it's something that people don't actually pay much attention to.
Two.
So you see them building a career and
Yes.
messing up relationships. So yeah,
Hmm.
just like uh Uche, when Uche was starting out, V said, you know what, I would contact some of my clients for your first shoot. And V
Yes.
had the clients because of her father.
Our
You
father.
get.
Yes.
So V's own quality was based off of her father's
Yes. Apple
relationship with
baby
her dad.
things.
And now exactly. And now Uche was reaping it because he had a
Mm-hmm.
good relationship with their family. So I
Yes.
just and then even the quality of man V met was
Yes.
based on, and how they could connect was also based on the relationships she already had in her life
Share
and how
their,
beautiful
yes.
it,
Yes.
and
Yes.
how Ken was able to relate with the family was that he himself came from a very beautiful home. You know, that just everything. I feel like the quality of your
Mm-hmm.
life is
Yes. Yes.
tied in a lot of ways to the quality of relationships you have in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very
For
good.
instance, I wouldn't have written pictures without my friend's advice.
Yes, yes, it's true. It's really about that, and really, guys, we've come to the end of the show. Chizaram, thank you so much. This has been a beautiful and honest conversation. Pictures is not just about a romance book; it's more about a reflection of growth and what it truly
Thank
means to love intentionally. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Your book feels very gentle, but it stays with us. And I think that's rare because a lot of books try to be loud and memorable, but yours
Yeah,
is not like that. And I think we want to see more, especially on
thank you.
screen. I would love to see that as well. Well done. Thank you
Amen.
for sharing your thoughts
Thank
and
you
your
very
heart
much.
with us. And to everyone
Thank you so
listening,
much.
this is the end of the Laureate Conversation for today. See you next time. It's your girl, Miriam. See you. Bye.